Yerski, welcome to episode 5. We're a full hand right now of Culinarily Kwan with me, your boy, Kwan. It's hot, bro. Like, I don't know what's been going on this week. It's in the high 90s the whole week. So I'm a little flustered right now. I was rushing to get home. I got my double cup of tea. The tea is also hot. But we're here. The AC is blowing. It's gonna take a minute to cool down, but I'm here, ready to rock. Man, this is one of the most consistent things I've been able to keep up on my page for a moment. But yeah, today's gonna be a good one. We're gonna be just kicking it for about 35, 45 minutes, and up to then, let's keep it rolling. I'm excited. I'm happy. Proud of 5 episodes, 5 full episodes, 5 quality episodes. So I can't wait to see what this one has in store. I can't wait to see what the future ones have in store. So our guest today is actually here at the moment. So if you want to go ahead and just request to join the live, we'll jump right into it. Or can I actually invite you? Nope, I cannot invite you. You got to request to join, Brody. There we go. Gallison to say, bro. I'm saying you're looking crazy. And it should be popping up any second now. Again, it's hot. Sorry about the whatever if I'm a little moist.
What's up, man?
My guy, how are you?
Man, I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm good. It's hot, but I'm here. I'm live. I'm here.
Man, same, man. It's hot up here, man. I'm actually in the coolest place where I can be, under the kitchen. I'm in the I'm in the basement.
I respect it. Oh man, the basement. That's the coolest place.
Yeah, man. The basement is the coolest place right up under the kitchen.
I bet. Well,
Yeah.
let's jump into it on this hot day then.
Yeah.
So if you want to just go ahead, tell us who you are, where you're from, what it is you do, and kind of just segue right into what got you started in the culinary industry.
Word, man. Well, I'm Steven Zennerman. I am originally from Augusta, Georgia. Um, Born in Beaufort, South Carolina. I actually grew up a part of my life in North Carolina as well, down in Jacksonville, North Carolina. Spent a little time in Raleigh, Fayetteville as an adult. So I am, man, I'm a bunch of stuff, man. I right now just staging at a restaurant here in South Jersey called Park Place. The chef and owner is Chef Phil Manganero. He is like a foraging chef, man. He forages every single thing that he cooks, um, from his greens to fruits to his ramps, things like that. But I, I worked in higher education for a little while. Been a beekeeper for about maybe 5 years now. Been in the coffee game for about 7.5 years, and got started with culinary arts in 2021. Something that I had always wanted to do, and it was just no better time to kind of get started. So I ended up going to culinary school, and in Raleigh, in North Carolina.
Nice.
Went to Wake Tech, and then they partnered up with Johnson and Wales, so you get a chance to kind of like take classes at Johnson and Wales if you want for credit. And started working for Chef Scott Crawford during my time in culinary school. Worked for his spot in Clayton, North Carolina, which is a Crawford Cook Shop. But he has like, I think he has Jolie with Crawford Hospitality. It's Jolie, Crawford and Sons, Crawford Cook Shop, Brodetto, which is a Asiatic kind of joint, up in Raleigh at Raleigh Ironworks, and then you have in Cary getting ready to open up now is Crawford Brothers Steakhouse, and he has Crawford Genuine actually at RDU. So he's doing
Nice.
his thing, man. But I worked for him at Cook Shop for a little while as a line cook.
Very nice.
Yeah, man.
Uh, just before we get too far away from it, tell us a little bit about beekeeping. I feel like that's a hobby that I really wanted to get into at one point, and then it just seemed like the more I researched it, the more dangerous it looked.
Man,
So,
it's not real. I mean, it can be dangerous, but to be honest, man, it's actually a very therapeutic activity. I got into beekeeping. I was scared. I thought it was dangerous. I was living in Hickory, North Carolina. I was working at a coffee shop, and I met a guy who was selling honey at a farmer's market. So I used to do the farmer's market on the weekends at this spot. And I was running back and forth from Hickory to Raleigh, working at NC State. And man, I was selling sandwiches and cups of coffee. Ran into this dude selling wild honey or organic honey. And he introduced me to beekeeping. It was like, man, you could do it, man. Anybody can do this. And I was like, no, I'm pretty scared to do that, man. I don't want to get stung. And he just kept telling me that you can. And fast forward to 2016, 2017, something around that time, I started getting into it and reading up on it. And then we ended up moving to Fayetteville in 2018, somewhere around that time. So I ended up buying a hive, buying all the tools and the proper clothing. And then we went to Vance, North Carolina, Midnight Beekeeping Supply, and ended up getting a nuke there. And um, we
what
set
is a
up.
nuke for all of us who don't know?
So it's just a a box of bees, basically. It's a nucleus of live bees, and we set up at the Fayetteville, the oh man, the Botanical Gardens in Fayetteville.
Okay.
That's where we were, man. So we kept bees there for about 2.5 years, and then our colony actually swarmed on us. In the middle of summer, it was like a really hot summer
That
around that
means
time.
they turned on y'all?
No, they dipped on us. We
Oh, they
left.
left.
Yeah,
Okay.
man. So they swarming is when they leave, and it could be a ton of reasons why they leave. And I think what happened with ours is it got crowded in the hive. They were reproducing at a high rate. It was hot. It was just not enough room. And I think also they were producing other queens. So if you see a queen cell when you're doing a hive check, you really want to remove it. But we'd gone out of town and we came back. We saw some queen cells, thought we had destroyed them all. And I said, you know what? I had a bad feeling. I said, I'm gonna go out here the next day and just make sure I got all these queen cells before our bee swarm. And lo and behold, I get out there, I see like maybe four bees in the
Dang.
hive when I take the lid off, and they had swarmed. And I'm looking around because sometimes when they swarm, they're close by, but I didn't see them anywhere. So I was like, man, I can't recatch my colony. So it was just they swarmed, and since then, man, we have it's been on and off with the beekeeping, but it's really a great hobby. Once you learn, you got to get a mentor, I say, in anything you do. But we got some really cool mentors, man, in the Fayetteville area. There's a guy, Mr. Rodney. He owns Beehive Yourself. Him and his wife, and they do I think it's Dirtbag ales way out. They do the farmers market out there, and he was one of my mentors while we were down there in North Carolina. And then you have I think Kenny Bailey, who is at the cooperative extension over near Fayetteville Tech. So
Okay.
he's a good dude, man. And he's also sort of like a kind of like a mentor. You can just call on him and ask him questions and things like that, man. Why are my bees behaving like this? And they'll give you like little pointers. So yeah, man, that's how we got into that, and it's still something that we're interested in to keep doing. It's a family thing, man. You can bond with your family out there, and you know, there's something that you can pass down
Are
through
there
generations.
other specific rules? Because I know, like, if you want to have chickens
Mhm.
within like the city, like there's specific parameters you got to follow and have like not too many. Just it's specific rules
Um,
that you want to raise chickens. Bees, I'm sure, have to have something, right?
um, there's not really. It's a really, how do I put it? I don't want to say the wrong phrase, but there's not any there's not any real rules to beekeeping as far as like, I just say you couldn't necessarily, like if you live in a small apartment building or something like that with a
Right.
very, I wouldn't want to keep them on the back porch or something like that.
Right.
But I mean, you can domesticate bees almost anywhere. I mean, right where we are here, you have Philadelphia that's like 15 minutes away, and you have people that keep bees literally on the rooftops
Mm.
in Center City, Philadelphia. And right nearby, you have the Philadelphia International Airport. And so you worry about noise pollution when it comes to stuff like that when you're keeping bees, because it can, get them a little bit frazzled. So you just want to kind of like, really, it's just the rules of nature you want to kind of obey. Like, respect the bees, man. Like, noise is a thing that can disturb them. Certain smells, like if you go into beekeeping, man, don't wear cologne, don't wear perfume. Definitely don't eat certain fruits, especially like bananas, because the smell of a banana, it mimics a pheromone that bees secrete when they feel threatened, and it alerts the rest of the colony to, hey man, let's get ready to attack.
Wow.
So yeah, man. So you want to kind of like watch. It's more it's more so those types of rules than rules of man. Like, hey man, you can't keep them within 50 feet of such and such. I think it goes from city to city, community to community, um, as far as like beekeeping goes. So if anybody was like interested in beekeeping, if you own a home, I would just check with the homeowners association or something like that, man, just to see. Like up here, you want to check with your municipality. Um, and see what if they have any rules, and it's really not regulated that deep. You know what I mean? So yeah.
No, for sure. That's dope. I didn't know, and the banana thing is a crazy tip because
Yeah, yeah.
that's not something that like you might wake up in the morning and be like, all right, I eat bananas for breakfast. Well, I'll go check on my
Yeah,
bees.
yeah, yeah. I say, like, man, when you go out there, just if you were to eat some bananas, like, just make sure you brush your teeth.
Right.
So, drink something that doesn't offend them. Um, they're not like yellow jackets. Yellow jackets, they're very, very attracted to like sugar,
Hmm.
like sodas and things like that, artificial sugars. Um, I would, that wouldn't mess with them too much, because I've been out there, man. I'm drinking like Gatorades and stuff like that. I go out there and I'm talking to my bees. That's another thing that I do. I talk and I sing or hum a lot around it, because bees are very intelligent. So they
Right.
they recognize you. They recognize your voice by vibration and frequency. So, and they recognize you by movement. So if you move a certain way, and they get used to that, and then a stranger comes out there and they approach the hive, they're on alert. Like, yo, let's bump this
Right.
dude. And that's another thing that they do. They'll bump you at least 3 times, because they're not likely to sting you
So
like
bump
yellow
is literally
jackets.
like what they
It's
mean bump. Like okay,
like
like they'll just
they
bump you.
they will come up to you. They'll bump you mainly in the face, because they know that's a place that can hurt humans or any other thing. Um, so they'll bump you, and they'll do it at least 2, 3, sometimes even 4 times. Because once they sting you, they lose their stinger, and then they'll die. So they're not
Right.
very. Nobody wants to go like that. So um, they're least likely to sting you when they recognize you and don't feel threatened. As long as you're calm and don't pose an initial or imminent threat, these are very, very docile. Even the most like hostile bees,
Right.
they're very, very docile once you get to them and you smoke them, with your smoker, and that doesn't really calm them down. That actually sends them into an eating frenzy when you smoke bees. So they think that it's a fire, and they'll start engorging themselves with nectar and whatever honey is in the hive, and it slows them down. So it makes them very, very lethargic. And to us, it's like, oh, they're lazy, they're sleepy. No, they're not. They're full, so they can't really move really fast. They're trying to save everything that they have in their hive. So that's what smoking does. And I tell anybody, I don't care how much of a professional you are and experience you think you have in beekeeping, always keep your smoker lit and with you, just in case you have to smoke them. And always wear your veil.
That's
Cause
dope.
yeah, man, it's a very interesting hobby, career, business, whatever you wanna. You can go so far, or you can go as little with beekeeping as you want to. If you just want to do it just for honey for your house, then do that. If you want to do it and really scale it and do honey at a large amounts, you can do that as well.
Right. No, that's man. I love that. Nah, low key, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I'm reinvigorated with my interest in bees again. Because
Yeah.
at the top of the pandemic, man, I was all in. I was locked in. I spoke to my mother about it. I was at
Yeah.
my parents at the beginning of the pandemic, and I was like, "Yo, like, you got a nice sized backyard. Like, let's do this bee thing." And she
Yep.
was like, "Absolutely not." And so I
Yes.
was like, "All right, well, I'm gonna just do it on my own." But then I started researching it, and I was like, that might not be the move, but this is good info." And I'm like, "Man, like, this sounds good."
Yeah. That's why
Yeah,
I say
like my mother just,
you got to be ready to smoke them. Yes, you
yeah,
do.
man, smoke on my shower.
You better
Uh,
be prepared.
so
Telling you.
so that's dope. I'm definitely gonna look into that a little bit more now. But no, very cool. So besides beekeeping, I was going through your page,
Hmm.
and it was saying how you're a environmental scientist.
Yes.
What exactly does that
So
entail?
went to school, man. Try to cut a long story short about that adventure. Um, I went to HBCU, Columbia, South Carolina. I went to Benedict College. I majored in environmental. First, I actually majored in music, and the music department had some changes, and my dad kept on to me. He had been on to me since high school. Man, you gotta get into this field, man. It's gonna be the wave of the future. Everything's gonna be green. And I was like, what is that? What do you mean by green? The world is green already. And I didn't know what it meant, but I ended up changing my major to environmental science, and had this mentor, man, Dr. Milton Morris, and a couple of other mentors in the field. And graduated, got my bachelor's degree. Ended up going to graduate school, University of South Carolina, and doing some more stuff. So yeah, man, became environmental science. I remember my first job in the field. I worked at this place called Apex Tool Group. Actually, no, that wasn't. That was my second job. I worked for my alma mater, Benedict College. I worked there as an assistant to the director, Milton Morris, with the radiation safety program. And I got my certification from the University of South Carolina as well to work for him in that program. So environmental science, it encompasses everything, even beekeeping. It encourages you to become a steward, for our world, man. It's not what most people think you're like, super duper tree hugger and all that stuff. It entails so much more, man. Water quality, air quality, um, soil. I mean, man, I'm very, very interested in birds. So avian life. I'm really into that. Um, I sometimes, I sit around and I listen and I learn those, and I can identify birds by just listening to them. Are southern birds. I'm a stone cold southerner, so I love listening to nature. Got into that. I'm still sitting. A matter of fact, there's an organization in Fayetteville that I'm still on the board of directors. Um, Sustainable Sand Hills. So I sit on that, and that encompasses everything environmental science. Earth Day, they have a huge Earth Day event. I've been on that board for about 3 years now, and even though I relocated to New Jersey, I still have a deep interest in North Carolina, and plan on coming back to North Carolina. So I remain in my seat on that board, and they actually there's some, well, I can't really talk about it, but there's some stuff in the works for that, that I might be possibly coming back to North Carolina sooner than later. So yeah, man, I can talk all day about environmental science and all the stuff that I've done, all the cool internships working at Savannah River site, and oh man, I tell people all the time, I made so much money in college, interning during the summertime. I remember one internship, I held it for 3 years, man. We made, especially as a college student, man, you making $2,200 a month during the summertime. That's rich. You know what I'm saying? So, um,
Um,
did
You're breaking up a little bit. You're
that,
breaking up a
and
little bit here.
man, I'm still very much, in love with environmental science, but
Yeah, yeah,
much more on the
you're good now.
agricultural culinary arts. You think more about ingredients and all. Uh-oh. Can you uh can you hear me a little better? Okay. But it affects your ingredients. So everything that you work with, everybody's doing this the whole organic movement. And it's been going on for a long time.
Yeah,
Um,
farm to
so you
table, things like
yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly. So um, that's one of those things that I've gotten into, but I've been into that for years. But I'm just now approaching it in the culinary arts realm. So just kind of trying to tie everything that I'm interested in into the culinary arts, which environmental science is one of those things. Is uh, is key. Um, I actually got a scholarship. I didn't even know I was going to get. I applied for it really just on a whim, and it was a
Hey, you're going out. You're going out a little bit again. I
oh
heard you
man, it
applied
was
for a
a Golden
scholarship on
Leaf
a whim.
scholarship. Make a pledge basically to North Carolina agriculture, and they helped pay for, a couple of semesters. One of those things, man. Yeah, yeah, man.
Yeah, it was
Am I
for a
clear
second
again?
there, but now you're back. Now you're good to go.
Okay, cool.
No, I love that. Yeah, so that's something I kind of have noticed as well. And I'm not even gonna hold you. Like I did recently, maybe in the last 2-ish years,
Hmm.
jump on that train of sustainability, farm to table,
Yeah,
organics, and things of that sort. So I can't even say like I've been an OG in that games for years or whatever.
yeah.
But it did, hit me like a freight train. Like as soon as I kind of opened myself up to that world, it did become, the essence of what I do. Became the essence
Hmm.
of my everything. Like my whole persona shifted, my whole lifestyle and direction that I wanted to go change.
Yeah.
I decided when I open my nonprofit, what is it going to do? It's going to be sustainable. It's going to be organic. We're going to teach people
Hmm.
how to grow and feed themselves.
Yep.
We're going to teach urban farming, urban homesteading, things of that sort, because
Hmm.
it all matters. Like all that stuff actually does matter. Like you really do become a product of what you put into your body. And so by
Yeah.
oh man, I think it is. Are you here still? Hello, hello. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Um,
I can hear you.
so yeah, just yeah, yeah. It's just like cutting in and out, but you're fine.
Am I
But
here?
yeah, just becoming a product
Yeah.
of what you eat. Like the whole phrase "you are what you eat." It's definitely true. Like knowing exactly where your food is coming from, what it's doing inside of your body,
Oh yeah.
because you planted it, you sowed the seeds, you harvested the produce, like, and then you cooked with it. So everything that you're ingesting, you know where it came from, where it's going, and what it's doing. So I kind of push that as well. Like I missed the environmental science train
Yeah.
by in college. That just wasn't the route that I went. But I do
Yeah.
definitely respect that route and that choice, because you know better than I do about something that I really thoroughly enjoy. So
Yeah,
I
man.
give, hats off to you, kudos to you. That's really dope.
Yeah, man. It's and anybody can jump on that train. You know what I'm saying? I you know I grew up like that. Coming from Georgia, having parents and grandparents, especially my grandparents, they're from the low country of South Carolina as well. They just migrated to Georgia, which is just across the Savannah River. And looking back at it, I didn't even know that my grandparents were doing all this stuff that everybody else is doing now, which is really popular, and like composting and all that. They've been doing that. catching rainwater. I remember these 55-gallon barrels that my grandma and my granddaddy used to keep around their house. And it's so ironic that I got into the field because the house that they built, the land that they built that house on, was a landfill. It's the garbage. It was the city dump, but they relocated the city dump so that land, which was dirt cheap because no other people were interested in it. So they sold it to a bunch of my granddad, and his brothers, my dad, and a couple of my cousins who are older. They rehabbed that land, and then my grandfather built the house on that land, and it became beautiful. From what I saw as a kid, they were also showcasing a lot of my cooking now. Tomatoes. I mean, anything that you can grow, especially when you're kind of landlocked like that. He grew it, and even some stuff that you don't normally see growing on land in a landlocked area or somewhat landlocked area. He grew that as well, man. So it was a lot of fun growing up like that, and I saw that. And again, like I saw the 55-gallon barrels, and they always caught rainwater, and that was to water the gardens all around the house. They raised chickens, they raised hogs. I always say occasionally they had a goat um, out there, man. Duck. I was eating duck when I was a kid and didn't think anything of about it, but now it's
It's a
expensive.
delicacy now.
But yeah, it's a delicacy. So
Yeah,
but I was eating that when I was a little dude, man. So man, that's really what started everything for me, man. Honestly, the culinary arts, environmental science, you know, beekeeping, even a little bit of that started there. They didn't really keep bees. Always bumblebees and carpenter bees all around the house, and we used to want them and run from them and scream and all. And my grandma always told us that they were helpers, and tell them not to run from them. They were our friends, and they helped us eat. And I got into school and you know just learned everything else, and I should have back then, but I just didn't. I was a little kid, man. Somewhat full circle. My whole upbringing, everything is kind of be a part of all of this, even though I'm a rookie in the culinary arts field and still trying to make my way doing it. Especially when you got a chef as busy as Chef Manganero, and
right.
he runs a
Got you.
one-man show at this
Okay.
restaurant.
No, that's dope.
But I'm
So
just
as
trying
a
to still
man,
forge my way.
now that you're an adult and you're making decisions for yourself and doing your own thing, do you see your plate has changed a lot versus the things you used to eat when you were younger, or do you try to keep it about the same?
It's kind of 50-50. It's changed somewhat. There's some things that I eat now that I wouldn't have eaten when I was a kid. Even stuff that it is funny, man. Even stuff that I was raised around, like stuff like rutabagas. Man, I hated them things when I was a kid, but now I love them. Um, Okra, I love okra even more now. When I was a kid, I liked it, but even more so now because the people who raised me, a lot of those folks are gone now. Um, and food is one of those memories, man, that you kind of have of people when they've raised you and nourished you. And okra is just one of those things that they always had at the house. Um, yeah, man, there's so much stuff like hamachi. You know, I eat hamachi crudo and crazy things like that now. But my plate still looks like the plate of my childhood, man. The way that salt, just more finesse or a little bit more flair to it, um, with the plating and all that. But it's still, and even with the flavors, they change. Growing up the son of a Marine, he traveled in throughout Asia a lot. So you get to taste those Asian flavors. You're exposed to all of that. He did a short stint, I think maybe 2 or 3 years in Belgium, and you get a chance to taste the food of that country. And so you get exposed to a lot of different things. So the food, it looks the same, it's plated different. Well, I'll say it's the same food, a lot of it, plated differently, but a little bit more global in flavor. You know what I mean? I cook with some different stuff now, fennel and all the other things that you hear about sometimes. So it's cool, man.
I love it. All right. So I kind of want to get into the heart of uh, what people have been wanting me to ask you about, as far as your coffee journey.
Hmm.
I see that you are an owner
Hmm.
of TCE.
Yes, I am. Me and my wife, we own TCE Coffee. Started off as TCE, a brewing company. We founded it actually here in South Jersey when we lived up here before. And it was honestly a thing that I did. It wasn't something I saw that was super cool and all of this. I mean, it was cool, but it wasn't like a trendy thing at the time. And this was 2016, 2017, when we first got up here. Um, I couldn't get a job, bro. I resigned, moved up here. My wife wanted to, she got into Rutgers, and so she wanted to finish her degree at Rutgers, and I was having a difficult time finding a job. So, and it's crazy, man. It stems back to my time at North Carolina State University. I had a guy who was mentoring me at the time, two guys. One, uh, Mr. Leo Farmer, he's a Benedict College grad, 1965 grad. And I met him trying to find a alumni association. And he introduced me to his son-in-law, Mr. Corin Armstrong. And one day I was just, feeling lost. I was getting ready. My time at NC State was getting ready to come to an end. The semester was about to end. I didn't really know what I was going to do next. And I know we were getting ready to leave North Carolina. So Corin asked me a question, man. He was like, man, what do you do that could help you sustain your family? And, say you didn't go back to higher ed or whatever, something happened. And I didn't really know the answer to that question. And in college and earlier, after college, I graduated from college in '08. And I had worked at some coffee houses. I had done some stuff, working in coffee. And even when I was at NC State, I was working. Remember, I was telling you I was running back and forth to Hickory, working at a doggone coffee shop there. And so I had experience, but I didn't think about that at first. And so when we got up here, couldn't find jobs. So I was, going to coffee shops a lot. And I was just people watching, man. And I started getting interested in roasting. There's a coffee shop called Revolution Coffee Roasters here in Collingswood, New Jersey. A guy named Steve McFadden, he was the roaster and part owner of that company. And one day I go in, I asked him about roasting and, his coffee beans and stuff like that. And he just let me come back and watch him roast a batch. And it just grew from there. So I started going to a bunch of different places and learning how to roast coffee from a bunch of different people. Um, Elixir Coffee Roasters, Revolution, Royal Mile Coffee Roasters, which I drink a lot of. I spend most of my mornings at Royal Mile now, since moving back up here. Um, Ingrain Coffee Roasters, Evermore Coffee Roasters, a lot of different people. Cat and Cloud out in Santa Cruz. I learned a lot from them. And Counterculture. That was one of my. I worked at Counter. I roasted for them for a little while in Durham, as well. Um, Black and White Coffee Roasters in Raleigh. Lynn Butler, who's a Raleigh native, and Kyle Ramage, they own that spot. They've taught me a lot. So knowledge just was available to me, and I took advantage of it, man, and started my own thing, roasting in the basement of my mother-in-law's house when we were up here the first time. And yeah, man, it just kind of took off, and it's not like big or anything like that, but it does help sustain us sometimes when things get tough. I jump on the roaster and I start roasting some coffee, man, and it's gotten a lot more difficult now because green coffee, again, going back to environmental science, um, green coffee is a fruit. You know what I mean? So coffee is a fruit, um, and it's finicky to grow sometimes, especially some of your specialty varietals. And um, when it gets finicky and climate is changing and things are happening, it gets a little bit more expensive as well to purchase your green coffee. Same thing you go through in the culinary industry, man. Like when you got, things that are happening on these farms, whether it's produce or it's, a piece of protein that you want to work with. Sometimes, man, the inflation goes up when environmental issues come into place. And that's one of the things that we're going through right now with the sustainability of the industry. Cost, it is up. And then there's other things that happen. Right now I think it's starting to arrive this week and maybe next week, but people who are buyers of Ethiopian coffees, man, they were, kind of in sweats last week because the ship wasn't really stuck on the water, but it had to take like a detour. And so it takes the coffee, in these containers on these ships. It takes it longer to get here to the
Right.
States. You know what I mean? So that's a thing that's, going on right now. I'm not in the market for any Ethiopian coffees. If I was, I'd be sweating too. Because it happened to me year before last. There was a Kenyan coffee that just gotten, and it spent nearly 2 months. No, actually a little bit over 2 months on the water. During that time where I think things were coming, oh man, from through the Mediterranean or something like that, and boats were stuck on the water. So our coffee was just stuck. One freaking bag of coffee from Kenya was stuck on the water. So when we got it, the quality had suffered. When we got it, still sold, and we did very good on that coffee, but it could have been better. Especially, you know, coming from when I got the samples of that coffee and how it tasted when I cupped it initially. So when the actual bag got here, it was completely different, and heat and everything else that goes on just took effect, and the quality of the cup wasn't the same. So, but I kind of went left. Yeah, that's the industry, man,
Right.
for you. So, yeah, man. But I've worked at coffee shops. I still got a lot of relationships with coffee people. Right there in Fayetteville, man. Nancy, she owns Vagabond downtown. Um, Miss Molly and her husband Bruce, they own Rude Awakening downtown. They were the first people that I met when I first got to Fayetteville, and got coffee from them. I did an event at Millermont College, man, working there, and I didn't have coffee with me. I had my roaster was still here in Jersey, so I just had to run somewhere and get coffee real quick, and that I knew was good. And they carry Magnolia coffee roasters, I think, out of Charlotte, North Carolina. So got that and served it to the people, and it was great, man. So, and the industry is cool, man.
No, for sure. And it sounds like it's a tight knit community as well.
Very, very tight knit, but a very welcoming community, especially now, man. All the things that are going on in our climate. Um, a lot of black and brown folks, man, getting into the industry and doing their thing, man. I got a lot of friends in the industry who are doing big stuff, man. Companies like Coffee Black, Portrait Coffee Roasters in Atlanta, Georgia. Um, Shoot, some of everywhere. I can't even name everybody, but there's so many folks. Three Keys Coffee Roasters out of Houston, Texas. Um, Good people over there. So you got choices everywhere, man. Especially in our community. Black and Bold. I used to sit on a board. The Coffee Coalition for Racial Equity. Shout out to Phyllis Johnson. But the owners of Black and Bold Coffee, which I think you can get out of Target now.
Okay.
Um, one of the owners sits on that board. So you're privy to a lot of people, and access to a lot of information in the industry, man. So anybody that might be interested in that, man, there's avenues. There's more than one avenue other than trying to be a barista at a shop. You can be a roaster. You can be an espresso tech. You can be, a trader. I've done that. De La Finca Coffee Traders up in Holly Springs, North Carolina. Nelson Amador is a good friend of mine. He taught me all about, the coffee trading and importing industry. So it's deep, man. It runs really deep.
I love it. All
Yeah, man.
right. So let's go ahead and tell us what we can expect from you going forward in the future. You have any plans you want to share with us, or anything
Um,
that we should be looking out for from you?
just growth, man. I'm just looking to grow. Um, hopefully, moving back to North Carolina and doing some things, partnering up with a lot of people, collaborations down that way again, because that's home to us now. Most of them, I got five kids, and all of them except for one, I believe, was born in all. They were all born in North Carolina, so that's home. That's home to them. So ready to get back, but mostly just growth, man. So I'm looking forward to, I always look forward to people following along and you know helping out with inspiration, man. People inspire me. You're one of those folks who
I
inspire me
appreciate
a
it.
lot.
Thank you
Great
very much.
deal. And anytime, man. Thank you for the inspiration. So that's really it, man. Just looking to grow in this field and have more mentors. Even I was always told, man, you just can't have enough or too many mentors, and I'm looking for that. I'm looking for mentorship, and maybe one day become a mentor. If I can prove myself, to have enough knowledge to pass down to other people. Um, I'm looking forward to doing that.
Absolutely. Well, I'm sure there are people who are going to watch this like me, uh, that are more than happy to follow your journey. So where can we find you? Or are you anywhere else other than Instagram?
Um, my personal page on Facebook. You can follow that. Steven Zinnerman, it's just my first and my last name. Um, I don't really, and I'm ashamed to say it, but I don't really keep up with my Facebook page for either beekeeping or the coffee company that much anymore. Um, Especially since we've taken sort of a break from both coffee and beekeeping. We're looking to drop some more coffee, so that is one thing that people can look for it and follow. You can follow at TCE Coffee on Instagram, TCE Coffee on Facebook. We're in the middle of trying to redo our website, tcecoffee.com. We're overdue for that. Both my wife and I attended culinary school together, so we put everything on the back burner. With We're definitely looking to drop another coffee sometime soon. It's so funny. Before we started this call, I got contacted by a of info about their offering. So we're looking into getting some new coffee in soon and doing some roasting and doing some releasing. So people can follow along with that. I do live roasting sometimes, so that would be cool if people want to follow along.
Nice. Absolutely. I appreciate that. And I definitely appreciate you coming out and kicking it with me for a little bit. We're right at the 45-minute mark, so
Word.
we actually did really good in time today.
Cool, man.
Um, that it's really absolutely, like, I'm about to hyperfixate on beekeeping again. I would feel it in my soul, and I'm just gonna
Yeah,
go ahead and embrace it. But I definitely learned a lot from this conversation myself, and I'm sure those who are watching and will be watching
yeah,
also did too. So again, thank you for coming out, and I definitely
man.
appreciate you.
Man, I appreciate you too, man. And anything that you or anybody else would need, man, just reach out, just hit me up, and I'll do my best to give you the information that you are looking for. Or I'm good at finding other folks who got that information. I'll just point you in the right direction if I can't do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Well,
man.
you take care. I'm gonna be ordering one of those bags once they drop, just so you're aware, and I
Word.
definitely do a live tasting so that way I can let everybody
That's
know
what's
what's
up,
up.
man.
Absolutely. Well, you take care. Yes,
Uh-oh,
sir.
we broke up a little bit. Yeah.
There you have it. TCE Coffee. Make sure you guys go give it a look. On Steven's page, I believe they're actually tagged in his bio. So go give the coffee page a look. Give it a follow. Buy a bag. Support your boy. I'll be buying a bag personally. But we made it to 5 episodes. We're on a full hand. Catch you guys on Friday for episode 6. It is gonna be a sweet treat. This has been another episode of Culinarily Kwan with me, your boy Kwan, and I'm out.